I just noticed behind me John Deere tractors. I know a lot about John Deere. I love the company. But as you know, they've announced a few days ago that they're going to move a lot of their manufacturing business to Mexico. I'm just notifying John Deere right now. If you do that, we're putting a 200% tariff on everything that you want to sell into the United States, so that if I win, John Deere is going to be paying a 200%. They haven't started it yet. Maybe they haven't even made the final decision yet, but I think they have. John Deere is going to, and anybody else that does this, because it's hurting our farmers, it's hurting our manufacturing. And if you do that, you're going to have a 200% tariff put on the product that you make in Mexico, right across the border. They think they're going to make product cheaper in Mexico and then sell it in for the same prices they did before, make a lot of money by getting rid of our labor and our jobs, and really a great name, because John Deere is a great name. I buy a lot of John Deere, tremendous. I'm one of their big customers. I buy a lot of John Deere product as a private person. But if they're going to do that, we're going to put a 200% tariff on everything that they want to send back into the United States, which means one of two things. Our country is going to make a lot of money, or they're not going to build, they're not going to open, and or they're going to sell it to another country. They're entitled to do that. If they want to build in the country, in the United States, there's no tariff. You can go ahead and you can build in it.
Do you ever have something that bothers you to your core? I mean, something that you see and read, and it just, even though it doesn't personally affect you, it still just makes you angry. And when I read this, it literally took me a week to do a video on it. And it's 600 people in Illinois and Iowa are losing their jobs. John Deere is laying off these people and moving production to Mexico. And it just, it's John Deere. It's about as American as anything you can think. Baseball and apple pie. It's John Deere. I'm a boy from Ohio. I have seen John Deere apparel. I've worn John Deere apparel growing up. And this just seems like a complete betrayal. I don't know of another word. It just seems like a complete, here's a company that last year did over $60 billion in sales, over $10 billion in profit. And somehow that wasn't enough. Sorry, I had to cut that part out. I started cursing. And I don't think that's a good thing to do. That's how mad I am. That's how disgusted I am. That they would, John Deere, making $10 billion last year, it just wasn't enough. Just wasn't enough. We have to rip jobs from hundreds of people in Illinois and Iowa to move our production to Mexico. It just seems like a stab in the back. If you're a proud American, it just, especially if you come from the Midwest, John Deere, you just made a horrible decision.
Cue the Whitesnake music, here we go again, or is it here I go again? Either way, we've got another round of layoffs, this time not in tech and not in media, not in manufacturing. Well, I guess this is manufacturing, but it's the heart of Americana. John Deere is at the center of this one. Here's the article in the headline. Only reason is greed. John Deere causes outrage as staff slashed and production moved to Mexico. And you may be thinking, wow, maybe they must have had a terrible year. They've got to slash costs and figure it out. Nope, I'm going to show you another clip from this article. In fiscal year 2023, the company reported over $10 billion in profits, with CEO John May receiving $26.7 million in total compensation. And additionally, John Deere spent more than $7.2 billion on stock buybacks and provided over $1.4 billion in dividends to shareholders. Man, it does not get more greedy than that, right? Again, fine, if you want to move operations because production, but man, you're coming off of a record year and you're going to close, I think they closed 500, or closed plants last year, 500 people lost their jobs. I don't know how many other, a couple hundred are going to lose them at least this year. And they're not announcing it to Q3, so production doesn't slip over the summer months as they try to hit their targets. Man, it's crazy And again, I don't know why I'm surprised, and I'm guessing not many other folks are surprised, but for some reason I thought maybe the traditional long-term companies, John Deere, wouldn't be a part of this, but welcome to the party.
In a town of about 5,000 to 6,000 people, a place like a Tyson food plant makes a town. It gives so much to the community. So many people work there. It is a massive driver to that town's economy. That town is Perry, Iowa. It's about 30 to 45 minutes away from Des Moines, just outside of town. They've had this food plant for a long time, and this Tyson plant has given so many people jobs and brought a lot of people to the community. This town is only 5,000 to 6,000 people. Will it be able to sustain a hit like losing the major employer in town? Now we're taking a trip about 20 to 30 miles closer to Des Moines. This one's actually just outside of Des Moines, about 10 minutes. This is a city of Ankeny, Iowa. It's where I live. The John Deere plant there has provided a lot of employment in the city of Ankeny. Now, Ankeny's a much bigger town, so it's not going to affect the city as much. But I'm telling you, when 150 employees get laid off of a place like that in Ankeny, that's pretty big news. Are these the first two chips to crumble? Are we going to see more happening soon? We've all heard stories that the economy is really struggling, but then we get these news reports, the jobs reports, and all these other things, which they're kind of phony numbers. Is the reality starting to take place, starting to hit home? I don't know. We're going to have to watch this real close and see what happens.
John Deere faces backlash after laying off 2,100 workers while shifting production to Mexico. On Wednesday, the tractor maker told officials in Iowa and Illinois that nearly 300 workers are being laid off. This year's total is around 2,100. Employees are furious at the cuts. A longtime John Deere worker at Harvester Works plant in East Moline, Illinois said it comes down to one thing: greed. We get more wind of layoffs daily, it seems, and it's just uncertainty all over, said the worker, who stayed anonymous for fear of retaliation. Donald Trump said in September he would slap a 200% tariff on John Deere's imports if they move their production to Mexico. Now, more layoffs are expected, even though Deere made $10 billion last year and they paid their CEO $26.7 million. Is John Deere being greedy?
Maybe you've been following this story out of Illinois and Iowa about John Deere doing massive amounts of layoffs and closing their facility in Iowa to open up a new plant in Mexico. Well, I've been doing some digging, and John Deere actually started the layoffs last year, and they're continuing the layoffs through the rest of this year, totaling over 600 workers. So are you one of the workers that just so happens to be affected by this massive amount of layoffs by John Deere? If so, don't look at it as a bad thing. This could be something that you could play in your favor. You know that 401k that you couldn't touch without being penalized? Now that's considered an old 401k with a previous company, and you have access and the ability to do what's called a in-service rollover or transfer into a potentially better financial tool for you and your family. It would protect and preserve your retirement, minimize Uncle Sam's reach in your pocket during your retirement years, protect and preserve what's yours.